Coming up on this episode of Tom Talks Rubbish.
I don't like failing people. So like I I have a fear of like disappointing people to a certain extent, but also like uh I know that pushing myself and like doing the show, I rarely regret doing the show, or making content afterwards. Like a lot of times it does make me feel better, or at least distracts me for like that hour or two that I'm doing it. Like it definitely helps. Like I never feel bad after I do it. It's just like sometimes getting off the couch and getting ready and getting on camera is not the easiest thing. But like once I like put one foot in front of the other and start getting ready and get myself in that headspace, I like never regret doing it.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Tuckrourish, and stand back with another interview. This time, I'm joined by Laurence Cartier
Yeah.
from Love Wrestling. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this.
If we take this back, Laurence, before any of your amazing work, where did
Yeah.
you first discover wrestling as an overall fan?
So like it's been around. My brother was watching it secretly because my dad didn't really like violence in the house.
Mm.
So like we sort of had to sneak it at first, but like when I was around 10, I really started getting into it myself. So like around the year 2000, 2001, like the first pay-per-view I watched live was like I went to the theater with my uncle. He brought me to King of the Ring 2001.
Mm.
And like uh, I would watch it more and more, like and again, this is aging me, but I would go to the video store and whatever like wrestling video I could find, I would rent
Mm.
immediately. Like at the time I could only watch Raw on with the like TV package I had. So like every Monday I was hooked watching Raw when I was at like sleepaway camp. My mom would send me the results at the time. Like WWE.com would like give like a full result listing of like Raw and SmackDown. So yeah, like around 10 or 11 is when I really got hooked.
You brought up King of the Ring 91 there, Laurence,
Yeah.
and that,
Yeah.
sorry, not 91,
2001.
2001. I realized I knew what I wanted to say, but the words came out wrong for
Yeah,
some reason.
yeah. It's all good.
Oh yeah, 2001 there. So that obviously has a very infamous match there,
Yeah.
being Shane McMahon versus Kurt Angle. So what was your thoughts on that? First of all, as a child, and then what is your thoughts on it maybe now if you watch it back?
Oh, like I loved it then and like loved it now. Like it's what grabbed me. Like it was the what's weird is like my uncle didn't say anything to me the third time, even though like looking back, it is a very violent match and like uh closer to like what a like a current indie wrestling death match was, because like those glass spots were real.
Mm.
Like the and like they were going through the wrong panes of glass. There was like the gimmick ones that he was supposed to go through, and they weren't gimmicked. And like the that whole match as a whole is great. Like man, like it definitely, it's one of the things that got me hooked, because like my favorite all-time wrestler is Mick Foley. So like I've always been like, I always loved the hardcore style of wrestling and like the very physical style of wrestling too. Like I love all times, but like I have a soft spot for that, and just like the beauty and like that violence and them competing like at an insane level. Like still a very good wrestling match on its own without the violent spots, but like those two guys, especially Kurt Angle, who wasn't known for that stuff, putting on like giving him more credibility too. And same thing with Shane, who once again like did, say what you will about him, he always gave 150% in those matches and
Mm.
like was constantly trying to prove himself. And it definitely was one of the things that got me hooked in pro wrestling. That whole pay-per-view was great.
You talk about Shane McMahon always wanting to prove himself there.
Yeah.
So what is the sort of match or bump that you're like, yeah, that's what I associate with Shane McMahon, other than King of the Ring?
It's got to be one of like the falls, like I think from one of the Summer Slams. There was the There was the one at WrestleMania where he did the WrestleMania 17, where he did didn't he do in the triple threat hardcore match? He did a diving elbow and the same sort of spot. Like there's the infamous spot with Steve Blackman, where both him and Blackman are climbing up the side of the set.
That
and
was
Blackman,
SummerSlam. I know that.
yeah, SummerSlam, yeah.
Which one though?
Yeah, I can't remember which one. That one's probably one of the, just because the look of his body going completely limp after taking that last kendo stick and just falling straight down. Like, yes, he's falling into a crash pad, but like it's still gonna hurt like hell and gonna knock the wind out of you. Because they also put like wood on that too to try to sell it. Like it's a crazy spot. Like the dude, I have a fear of heights. Like I could never in a million years.
No, neither could I. I had that.
Yeah.
What about Mick Foley? We'll talk about why you love him and this conversation and generic questions and things like that.
Yeah.
What is the match you associate with Foley though, Laurence? That you're like, yo, that's the match that I think of when I think of Foley.
So literally the first time I saw Mick Foley was in the Beyond the Mat documentary. Like there's when I was just getting into I'm like, and like the reason I also like immediately gravitated to him was like not even because of wrestling. I'm just like, this is a kid who like not long earlier my dad had passed away. So I'm like looking at this guy just being a very good and goofy dad who also gives so much of himself to the business. And like it's hard for me to nail one Mick Foley match because he's had so many, like there's so many underrated ones, like even stuff that not in WWE, like him versus Vader. Like he's had such a good series. Like his stuff with Terry Funk is that of absolute legend. Like even WWE, like the WWE ones, like the matches he's had, like the Hell in a Cell or the street fight. I would say the street fight with Triple H, more so I think is that like people he doesn't still to this day doesn't get the credit he deserves for giving instant credibility. And just like from both from a storytelling perspective and as like giving credibility as like being hardcore to so many wrestlers, like you can The Rock, Triple H, Randy Orton, the list goes on and on. Stone Cold Steve Austin, all at certain points of the careers can credit Cactus Jack from helping them go to that next level and help them getting the respect from fans, like from either Cactus Jack or Mankind. Like he has like constantly found ways to innovate, and like people just say he's a hardcore wrestler, but like there's so much more. He's changed his character when he couldn't take so many of those bumps. He switched the Mankind up character. There's two different versions of that character. There's the horror version and the comedy character, and both of them work so well. It's like that's why like I gravitated to him too, is because he was so great at the comedy aspect too. That like he was a legitimate one of the funniest wrestlers, and like brought some of the best funniest moments like in the ring. Like throughout that like his whole run, like there's so many reasons why like I gravitate to this dude just because he's like a genuinely nice person and also would give absolutely everything physically to pro wrestling.
What is your thoughts on my favorite Foley match, which is him versus Edge at Mania 22?
Oh, I like speak about somebody like another Hall of Famer who owes a debt of gratitude to Mick Foley. Like they were always friends beforehand, like throughout their careers, like when he was like the commissioner and stuff. But like the Edge did credit him too. Like this match help him like once again, like put him like show that his character can get down and dirty in a street fight. Lita too in that match, absolutely insane. Like she took the barbed wire mandible claw. Like he, especially this was in the like dying embers of his career, like when really he was like really physically out of it, and he was able to come back to give one more hell of a match. Is insane. And like to have that match with Edge, like especially that late in his career, like where he's like still going in and out of retirement, it was something special. Like he, especially for him, he wanted that WrestleMania moment, and he definitely earned it. Like that shot of them going through the flaming table is going to live on forever.
Definitely. You talk about living on forever there and things like that. How has your wrestling fandom changed as you've grown up, sort of thing?
Yeah, so I was a wrestling fan till around the time I moved out, like it was both out of like we didn't have cable in our apartment, so I couldn't really watch weekly, and also like I sort of like WWE, especially at that time, it was only WWE, and it wasn't great at that time. So like I like like especially it was becoming less and less for me. And like I was out around my like early 20s. I was pretty much like I would still my friends didn't like my roommates didn't know I was a wrestling fan. Like they couldn't tell till WrestleMania when I'm like, all right, I'll check out. I illegally downloaded, spoiler alert, I hope you're not a cop who does crimes from 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But I illegally downloaded WrestleMania the next night. And like, I think it was one of them was the Undertaker, one of the Undertaker Shawn Michaels matches. And I was losing my mind.
25
and like that,
26.
the first one was the first one. Like I had no idea. I specifically didn't spoil myself from the result. So I had no idea if he was winning or losing. And I was losing my mind. And like my roommate came into my room and was like, what the hell is going on? And like I still had some of my deep wrestling DVDs and stuff. So like I remember showing him like I actually got him into it afterwards too. Because like around that time I was starting to get back into it slowly. But like I wasn't like full time back in till like a few years later when my brother who had gotten back into it without telling me and like eventually messaged me. It's like, hey, we're watching pay-per-views together with like him and his friends because like one of his friends got him back into it. And like we started just a group of us pretty much every month would watch the pay-per-views together.
How important do you think your family is to your wrestling fandom? Because you talked about earlier your uncle got you into it initially and helped you with access to it, for lack of a better phrase. And then your brother then got you back into it. So without that set of circumstances, do you think you'd be a wrestling fan?
I think to a certain degree, yes, because like I sort of got into it myself without, but like with my like uncle taking me to stuff, especially as a kid, that helped. And like, but like definitely, especially like within the last like 10 years, it's been like one of the things that helped my brother and I like bond even closer was like our love of pro. Like he's more of a New Japan guy, and like he loves like more like old school sort of shoot style wrestling. Like he's one of his favorite wrestlers is Stan Hansen. So he likes just big burly dudes beating the hell out of each other. And like he hit like very much like stiff style wrestling. But yeah, like it was definitely like a thing that brought us closer within recent years. Like we're definitely both like grew as wrestling fans too. Like he has like his things he like, I like his things I like, and we like it's definitely one of the things we always discuss when we see each other.
When you get into podcasting, what's his thoughts on your sort of podcasting journey?
Oh, he definitely supportive of it. Like I've always been like I've like we grew up listening to like CBC radio too, which is like sort of like talk radio, but like also like it's a lot of like news and arts. So like I've always wanted to do sort of like radio and podcasting like my entire life. So like this was definitely like somewhere like they all like knew where I was probably going to end up. So yes, yeah, he's definitely been very like supportive of it. Like he like and definitely enjoying like all the cool things I've gotten to do. Like he's definitely been very happy and very supportive about it.
How does your podcasting journey begin, Laurence? Was it straight to Love Wrestling, or is there any detours in between?
It was legitimately like Love Wrestling was the place that gave me the opportunity. Like I've been for years I've been trying to get something started, but like I couldn't figure out the logistics myself of how to do it. And it was literally the amount of like coincidence and just by sheer dumb luck and chances, like the current VP of Love Wrestling, Zach Ralph, who basically runs the content side. We both live in Montreal, and he just happened to be shopping at my store, and like he was wearing I'm wearing an El Generico Sami Zayn shirt now, but he was wearing an El Generico shirt, and I made a joke, a joke to him about it, when he was like passing by, like where at the grocery store working at me, he's passing by my cash, and I made a joke to him about it, and we became friends. And we also like saw each other at shows, and like through that, he one day messaged me, like, "Hey, we just launched. I'm part of this thing called Love Wrestling, and like I'm doing this. I'm going to be hosting this quiz show on there, and like I need a guest for it. Like I need a third guest. Would you be interested?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And from that, I started like he also like messaged me like, "I need a. Would you mind co-hosting an episode of the my NWA show with me?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And eventually, Spencer put out a tweet like, "I'm looking for different content creators to help out and do different stuff." And I'm like, man, I was thinking to myself, I was talking to my best friend. My best friend Jamie, like we're at brunch together. I'm like, I'm thinking about doing this. Like, should I message him? Like, even though I don't have a a career in podcasting, I don't have much of a thing. I'm like, and she's like, told me, just do it. Just message him, nothing go wrong. And I did, and like he was like, I've been like, literally, you're one of the people that's like an immediate yes, because he already knew me through there, and we already worked a little bit together on some shows on Love Wrestling. I'm like, immediate yes, and like if it's been off to the races since then. Like it's just literally just the dumb luck of Zach being at my cash and Spencer finding Zach's podcast and being like, I want to work with Zach, and somehow this dude from Edmonton, I'm on his channel. It's just like the series of weird events that happened.
Do you believe in sort of I hate this term, but the butterfly effect there, Laurence, in the terms of like, do you believe in sort of like if this thing doesn't happen, you're not where you are in terms of Zach walking into your store, for example?
Oh, absolutely. I think about stuff like that all the time. Like legitimately, like if this one thing were to happen, wouldn't like 12 things down the road, like even like professional wrestling booking, if like where would we be if even like terrible stuff like the Montreal screw job, if that didn't happen, where would pro wrestling be today? Or like it sets off so many conflict. Like if they didn't do the curtain call, would Stone Cold be as quickly rise as quickly? Because we wouldn't have Austin 316 because he wouldn't have been he wouldn't have won the King of the Ring. So yeah, I definitely think like it is like maybe in an alternate universe it never happens, but like I'm very much happy it did because I've gotten to meet so many people and gotten to do so much cool stuff.
So take me back to your first podcast. Was that with Zach? What are you feeling at this
Yeah, like I was bouncing around a lot. Like I definitely did. I've I see myself as like Love Wrestling's utility player. Like they can plug and place me wherever they need me. I did a SmackDown review show for a little bit for like a few months. I hosted the NWA show with Zach off and on whenever he needed one for a little bit till we stopped doing it. I launched my own thing, which I did like basically 2 pilot episodes of. It's just like I still want to get off the ground again. It's just like I've got to find time for, which was a show where I talk to people in professional wrestling about the things in pop culture they love. Which I did 2 episodes. I did an episode with Veda and an episode with Speedball Mike Bailey. Like his was about The Simpsons, and I did with Veda Scott about they talked about their love of the Muppets. So like that's the kind of stuff I love, which I want to do more of. But like as of like a little over a year ago, I basically became the host of the like one of like the standard bearer host of the Brunch Gimmick.
Yeah. So you talk about there becoming the standard bearer host of the Brunch Gimmick.
Yeah.
How does that come about? How does the Brunch Gimmick even launch? How does that come about?
So it was legitimately one of the oldest shows on Love Wrestling. It was one of like the first shows, like the show I made my like official debut as a content creator on for the channel. Like but like it's been bounced around like there was never. It was basically supposed to be like a like whatever host can like show up, but like the problem being like a lot of people can't do Sundays and it was we basically, there were for a little bit, for like about a year, maybe a few months, there were 2 hosts that hosted it who left, and it sort of left it with a hole. And like I can do this, I can play, like replace them as like the like regular host of the show. So yeah, it became out of necessity because we wanted to keep the show going, because it's like between, it's the brunch gimmick and like Between Two Beards and Quizplex, like the 3 oldest shows that have been pretty much going since it's Love Wrestling's inception. And it's definitely changed how it's looked throughout the years, but it's like, I definitely want to keep it going because it's basically like our weekend review show. And it's also like a blank slate show. We can talk about whatever. Like we can just talk about action movies and stuff for like 20 minutes with people and stuff like that. Like it's a very like loosely based show, and like I quite enjoy doing it.
So you talk about quite enjoy doing it, and many times you do it with co-host Laurence. What is the difference? Because like I've tuned into shows where no one's available on Sunday because it's Sunday and you're on your own. So what is the difference between, for you, podcasting with a co-host to podcasting just on your own?
Like on my own, you're definitely like, it's easier when you've got like people in the chat to go with. Like it's definitely not easy, especially when I first started. I hated doing it like shows alone. I definitely prefer doing with like a co-host or somebody to bounce stuff off of, and I still like, I'm best, I feel, when I've got somebody to bounce jokes off of and like talk to about stuff and just help me fill time too. But like I've gotten, and like just through circumstances, I've gotten better as somebody being alone, like doing it alone. Like at first I hate it, but now I've noticed I've gotten better at it. I've gotten better at like talking to the chat. Like it just made me a better podcaster in a whole. It's definitely not easy, but on like it definitely, like it's sort of like a trial by fire type thing. Like it definitely makes you a better podcaster, but also like I love working with other people. I love platforming other people too, and like helping them become better podcasters as well.
You talk about people becoming better podcasters there, Laurence. What would your advice be for someone that's maybe a bit like you, doesn't have any podcasting experience, a bit like you in the beginning, should I say, but doesn't have any podcasting experience and wants to get into this and things like that? What would your advice be for them?
Again, like it sounds cliche, but it's cliche for you, but like take chances. Don't be afraid of looking silly, because I've looked silly on this channel a million times, and like it's sometimes through that ridiculous stuff that you are like making mistakes that you sometimes get some of like the best content out of. Like wrestling as a whole is a very silly thing, so like sometimes you have to lean into the absurdity and not take yourself too seriously while you're podcasting. Like the people I love the most are the people who can laugh off stuff and are like very good at talking to like the chat, and like aren't taking like wrestling or like especially wrestling the most serious, like taking it the most serious thing in the world and having full-blown meltdowns over a match they didn't like. I like people who could enjoy themselves and also recognize that it isn't a do or die thing every day. Like there are more serious things in the world, and like you have to enjoy yourself doing it.
Where is your current fandom, Laurence, as we record this?
So like I legitimately watch everything. I like heavily dislike people who are like, who like, it's fine to just like WWE or like AEW, but when you become like a toxic fan and you're like, no, everyone who likes WWE is an idiot, and they don't actually like no, just it's a TV show. No one else does it. No one's like, if you just like Breaking Bad, you can only like Breaking Bad and not like Game of Thrones. Like it just sounds silly if any taken out of that. Like as for me right now, I pretty much watch anything. I'm currently like, it bounces back, like it changes it like every year. It changes. Like last year I was more into WWE than I was in AEW, right now it's actually like switching a little bit. I'm watching more and more AEW
Yeah.
again, and like I'm one of like my biggest loves is like independent wrestling too. There's nothing like going to an independent show, which I highly recommend people do because there's so much talent there. And like not even for like the like future wrestling, but just like for these companies or wrestlers who have been there for like 10, 15 years. And like it doesn't mean they're like people keep thinking, oh, they're bad wrestlers because they never made it WWE. Like, no, a lot of them are super talented. And for whatever reason they did, like either they didn't want to like move up to WWE or they just circumstances prevented them. But like there is so many like all over the world now, there's so many talented local wrestlers who you can support, who can go to shows. Like being live at a wrestling, especially in an intimate environment, there's nothing like it. Like
Talk about, sorry, dude.
No, go ahead.
You talk about the nothing like independent wrestling. Thank you for that beautiful segue.
Mhm.
That's really, really cool. So
Yeah.
I always get the timeline wrong of whether it's content first and wrestling promotion second. But which way around is it for Love Wrestling? It's content first, right? And then they launched.
Yes, it was. We started as a content company first, and then like the twinkle in Spencer's eye started happening. It's like, and I was talking to Zach, like Spencer's thinking of running a show, and like it was supposed to be a like a one-off show maybe, but again, he was starting it during COVID, so like it was like 1-2 shows, and they had to stop for a bit. Like he couldn't initially do shows. Then when like at first he was able to for a bit, and then he had to stop again for like a few months. So like there was like a gap between the first few shows. But then it became like a monthly thing, and he bought a ring, and it was like again, it was just like it's been off the races. Like the amount of talent there is insane. Like the first ever Canadian WWE ID prospect, Zoe Sager, was our champion, and up until recently, sadly, she's had come down with an injury, but like she's like one of these standard bearers for Love Pro Wrestling, like and like for months from the pretty much from the very inception. One of the things we kept saying is like, watch out for Zoe Sager. She's going to be like, you should book her now. You're going to regret if you didn't, because she's going to be a big star. And like, it's funny. We're proven so right.
Who is the person currently then? Actually, no, let's go back. What was your reaction when you heard Spencer was going to run a show?
Like, I'm like, this isn't a great money-making venture, but I was excited for him. Like from like a person, like I thought it was brilliant too, from having a content creation company, because we are also like, we're very lucky for a website, because we have a bevy of talent to fall back on for content creation. We have like matches. We can basically produce our own content. We have our own company that like produces our own content too. So like that gives us a lot to talk about as well. Like we have an independent show, and every month we have on For Exposure, they break down the coming LPW card with Big Bad Boris, who's the voice of Love Wrestling, who does the commentary. And like it has given us so much, and like vice versa. Like we help promote their shows every month, and like it just so happens that it's some of the best wrestling in Canada.
Who is the current superstar, maybe within Love Wrestling, first of all, that you're like, oh, there, you talked about Zoe, is it Steiger? I always feel like I say it wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry. You talk about Zoe Steiger there.
Yeah.
But who are some other stars within Love Wrestling, the promotion currently, that you're like, they're going to be a big star from that?
I'm quite fond of like Mars, a Specialist. I think T.Y. Jackson, incredibly talented, and like somebody who's like young, but like again, super gifted, had some great matches. Somebody who's like just featured on Effie's Big Gay Brunch last week, Stephen Crow, the Rhinestone Cowboy. Like that's somebody who you're like, your eyes are immediately drawn to. Great character, amazingly talented wrestler. Like again, his tag team partner from Ride or Die, Taryn from Accounting, somebody I love watching, and just like a good person too. Like they're Stephen Crow. Like I'm happy he got like a platform like last week in the States with during Mania weeks. He's on Effie's Big Gay Brunch and briefly in the again the most podcasted concussion. I'll just say because I can't. I'm not sure if I can curse the Cluster F match. Joy Janela Spring Break, the sort of Royal Rumble match that they do. He was featured in that too. Like seeing that and him like being able to grow in the States a little bit is great to see because like Stephen Crow is an amazing talent that more people should know about.
What about if I flip the question to you, Laurence?
Yeah.
I said to you, what about on the content side? Who's the person that you're like, I love working with them. They're going to be a big star one day within our content space.
I think it's like happening closer than we think, but I think both of the guys from Between Two Beards, Pluggo and JPJ, Pluggo, like one of the more like funny and definitely like great partner to work with because he's very giving, like Whipsmart can roll with the punches and just like the most like affable, kind dude. And JPJ, who like is legitimately as one of those people who's worked in radio before and like has a voice for radio and like has the pro wrestling knowledge and like these just general sports knowledge as well. Like he like very much is a like Swiss Army knife where you can plug him in almost anywhere and he can do well.
How do I phrase this question?
Yeah.
So would you sort of be surprised if in the future, those boys got more opportunities outside of Love Wrestling because they're such good people?
Absolutely not. Like I'm expecting it at this point. Like they're already getting more opportunities, and like this past year, I think it was at the Rumble this year, if I'm not mistaken. There's the first time they've met in person and gotten to do like the press stuff together, and they absolutely killed that. Like they're definitely like they've also been getting like other opportunities on different sites, and like it's definitely well earned because they've been putting in the work. Especially Pluggo doesn't get the credit he deserves for the amount of work he puts in. Like he constantly does the top 5 on the website. Like he writes his top 5 things of the week, and like on top of like doing 4 exposure and Between Two Beards every week. Like he definitely somebody who more people should be booking on their podcast because literally one of the kindest dudes.
Don't sell yourself short. That's really hard to alliterate. Don't sell yourself short though.
Yeah.
You're doing some great stuff with Love Wrestling and things like that. So how did it feel for you to get the way I'll phrase this question, let out of the cage and go to press events yourself this year?
That it was definitely a massive goal. Like I have quite a few of them that I still want to achieve, but like getting to do a WWE press junket was a massive goal, and just the experience as a whole was great. Like even just going there to like meet and talk with other content creators was really fun. Like there's a lot of people I met for the first time with like a lot of respect for, and like somebody who's their content I watch all the time. And like being able and the fact that I got to do a WWE event, so cool. Like so many people never like get close to that opportunity, and like I'm just an idiot who like by dumb luck ended up here, and like being able to interview LA Knight and different superstars was like so much fun for me. And like it's like I definitely like one of my major goals is to do it for WrestleMania next year. It's definitely like high on the list of stuff I want to do. Like and like just a few months after that, getting to do like TNA rarely do press conferences, and getting to do one of their press conferences when they're here in Montreal for Slammiversary was like definitely a massive bucket list item. Like it was when TNA was like very much on fire. Like they had their first sellout show in years in Montreal. Like it was huge shows, like so much fun to do, and like getting more and more of those experiences is so much fun because like it is like, especially like writing and coming up with questions for like a press junket, we only have like 3 minutes. It is a challenge because you want to write fun questions and you want to get the most out of it. So like I enjoy that challenge.
Who was the creators, Laurence? You mentioned there you got to meet some and things like that. Who were the ones you got to connect with and you were like, it was fun to put faces to names, for lack of a better?
Some of them off the top of the head. I mean, May Heller, uh, somebody who's just grinding like all hell, like one of the hardest workers you'll see. Like between like doing backstage interviews for different companies, doing her own her own stuff for her own channel or for the company she works for, and like being at all the press conferences and stuff. Like an incredibly hard worker and just a very kind human being. Again, something I was a massive fan of. Like when I was like, especially when I was starting to get into content creation, Queen of the Ring, Alex Lahas was there, and I got to meet her for the first time. Like seeing someone like that who has been doing it for so long, like she is one of like the hardest workers. Because again, like I'm very lucky. Like I'm an idiot who has people behind him at Love Wrestling who are edit everything for him and make me look better and smarter than I am. Like she does everything on her own and like has to by necessity. And like the turnaround for those interviews she does is amazing. The questions she gets out of people and like incredible talent. Like watching her do like the press junket while I was like waiting in line was like, this is awesome because I'm learning so much at the same time and seeing that somebody I have like a lot of respect for do it. Like those are like some of the top. There's so many there that like while like I was doing my thing, I also like tried to like take a second. I'm like, because I am like a student and I like being like a sponge and taking in everything. Like I like being in the experience. So like I like sitting down and like take note of different things people do and different questions people ask and how they ask them.
I understand what you're saying completely there.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, my friend. You've been on my podcast before. Have I improved? You talked about asking questions there. Did you enjoy it? What did you enjoy about this? Everything.
Oh, I greatly enjoy this. Like, I think you've always been great, and you've always like out of like a lot of people, you have such a good hustle for this, and especially that like you talk to all content creators and like people in the industry is amazing to me, and how it's sort of like it's mutually beneficial. Like you're helping them, like you're helping like me. I'm small potatoes, so you're helping me get a greater platform.
You're definitely not.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and like you've talked to so many people like way more talented than I am. Like a like you've definitely always had something, and like everyone grows. If you don't grow, you're stuck in the same spot. It's not going to be great. Like everyone grows a little bit and learns as you get older. So like you've definitely like I would say like you've always been great, but like you've also grown a lot. So it's awesome to see, and awesome to see like you have a hustle that like more people should have to get interviews, and that I respect the hell out of.
I really appreciate that, my friend. Before this gets too emotional, I do have a
Yeah.
question though. You talk about all you do for Love Wrestling and things like that, Laurence. How do you deal with burnout as a creator, my friend, and things like that?
So like I'm very much, and like this is something that's great about Love Wrestling is we, especially like it's come up a lot of time with like different people, like we prioritize like mental health. We were like talk about it openly on our channel a lot, and like Zach and Spencer are both like very kind and very like understanding if you need a break. Like they fully understand if like you need a few weeks off, like all good. Well, they'll either have somebody sub in for your show, or like they'll be fine not having a show. But like they fully are like the people that will, even though like both Zach and Spencer are very busy. Like Zach not only does this, he has another job and like a family, which he, occasionally has to look in on.
I
And
know,
Spencer's,
like we've been trying to get him. I've been trying to get him on the show for over a year, for like
yeah,
quite a while. But because of his commitment is the word I'll use.
yeah,
Can't find the time because I have to be very regimented about my life because of my wheelchair and stuff.
yeah,
And like, I'm one of those people that I'm talking about myself. I do, but it's one of those things where it's like, if I do one thing different, I'll pay for it for a week. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, sorry, you were talking about how you deal with burnout.
Yeah. So like they are like there are times where like I need time off. Like I've taken like months off sometimes. Like I've taken a couple just because like both stuff like my personal life and just like it sometimes isn't easy to be on camera and when you're dealing with stuff or dealing with like outside stuff. And like they're very understanding if you like you need time off or like anything. So like I'm like in a very lucky position where like as a company, Love Wrestling is like it's again it's sort of redundant and like seems like a joke, but like it's very much built on love. Like it's not just Spencer's last name, it's not just the name of the company. It's like everyone in the company has like a respect and love for each other. So like starting with that base, uh like everyone is very understanding if you need time off.
I understand what you're saying completely there.
Yeah.
You talked about there not being able to record when personal things are going on
Yeah.
and things like that. So how do you motivate yourself to record in, I don't want to say dark times because that's a bit depressing.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like how do you motivate yourself to record in terms of when you need to motivate yourself?
Part of me is there's like I don't like failing people. So like I I like have a fear of like disappointing people to a certain extent, but also like uh I know that pushing myself and like doing the show, I rarely regret doing the show, like or making content afterwards. Like a lot of times it does make me feel better, or at least distracts me for like that hour or two that I'm doing it. Like it definitely like helps. Like I never feel bad after I do it. It's just like sometimes getting off the couch and getting ready and getting on camera is not the easiest thing. But like once I like put one foot in front of the other and start getting ready and get myself in that headspace, I like never regret doing it.
Really, really cool, my friend. I'm really curious to talk to you, Laurence, about success and failure and not failure, success and your legacy and things like that.
Yeah.
So, if you did step away from Love Wrestling and podcasting, would you view it as success? And what would you want your legacy in this space to be?
I would because like again I'm playing with house money. There wasn't like a like there's part of me like I shouldn't be here, so like everything from zero is a win for me. And like I'm already like a lot of content creators who like spend years doing it don't get to do some of the stuff I've gotten to do. So like some of it is just lucky that I live in a major city and I'm one of the biggest wrestling cities in the world. So like I've gotten to meet a lot of wrestlers. I've gotten to hang out with some wrestlers I've never thought I'd ever get to in my life. Like I've had experiences that like a lot of fans or a lot of like podcasters who work their whole lives don't never get that opportunity. So I count myself incredibly lucky for that. So yeah, like I do think it was excessive for the like all ends today. And like I like if there's a legacy, I just want like to be like somebody who definitely in every opportunity can uh help like at least in some way help somebody else achieve their goals or like do something or like even put somebody over or, like promote somebody. Like my favorite thing, and it's like a running joke, is to talk about Quebec and Montreal. Like I'm from Montreal, and like I will always talk about the different independent wrestlers from Montreal that are coming up. I sort of like it gets a little annoying the amount of times I talk about like the big three right now of like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Speedball Mike Bailey. We're all individually killing it, all from Quebec. And like when I was growing up, I didn't have like very big Quebec wrestlers. So having those guys like represent us and represent us so well, like it's one of the things that like I will always talk about them and always like put them over. And like again, like talking to other people on the channel, I always make time to put over their shows and talk about everything like anyone else is doing. Like I love like whatever little platform I have, I love helping other people at the same time.
That's really beautiful, and a beautiful way to
Yeah.
end this, if I'm honest, my friend. But as we do, Lawrence, we're going to do a segment that is a staple on this channel called Generic Wrestling Questions. I've seen my interviews before, but I swear I'll ask Lawrence his favorite match, favorite pay-per-view card, such as Double or Nothing 2019, for example, his favorite wrestler's entrance theme, favorite tag team, and favorite wrestler. Basically, the questions I assume you're asked on social media or on the brunch gimmick. So now you'll have a place.
Yeah.
Guys, I have answered this. Please go watch this. So what's your favorite matchup?
Favorite match of all time. Again, it's so hard because there's so many good ones and like a few minutes. I'll go two. I will go because it's so classic and like it will be stuck in the lore of wrestling forever. Is the Undertaker versus Mankind Hell in a Cell, and another one because it's very much me because it's like combines comedy wrestling and an incredibly like just shows the talent of a wrestler. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Yoshihiko, the Japanese sex doll.
Oh yes,
it was on its own a very good match and is also not too subtly or quite blatantly a beat for beat remake of the Will Ospreay Kenny Omega match from Forbidden Door, which I was at that match in Toronto, and it was a beat for beat remake of that, and also very much parodying the internet reaction to it.
That's really, really cool. You talked about, just quickly before we go on to your favorite pay-per-view, Lawrence.
Yeah.
You talked about their Mankind versus Undertaker. So why does that match speak to you as a fan?
Just because it is like the quintessential like storytelling through insane physicality and just somebody who is willing. It shows in a microcosm what Mick Foley is willing to do to make other professional wrestlers look good and tell an amazing story. Because that match could have ended after when he was thrown off the cell, and probably should have, and like it still would have been talked about probably forever. But getting put through the top of the Hell in a Cell afterwards and continuing to wrestle after that, even though he wasn't all there, and like still putting on a like decent match, like an insane, like still a very good match, and like not forgetting, even though he was out of it, doing the thumbtack, like the first time they did a thumbtack spot. And it was, I think it was that match for the first time they're doing a thumbtack spot, and he didn't remember. He like that was important to him, was the thumbtacks. He wanted to bring it from Japan. And like he obviously didn't remember doing it, even though he was literally littered in thumbtacks afterwards.
Isn't there a story, something along the lines of, didn't we do that? That's on Beyond the Mat, is it not?
Yeah.
And it's like, doesn't he basically say, if you do the thumbtack spot, and was it Vince? I can't remember who said it, but they basically said, look at your arm.
Yeah. Yeah, he talked about it again during, I was watching, there's a documentary on YouTube of The Undertaker and Mick Foley watching the match together over again. That came out a couple of years ago for like the 25th anniversary of the Cell match, which is really great to watch. But yeah, like in a microcosm, it shows very much who that guy is, and he's willing to do anything for pro wrestling, and like still like the toughest dudes. There's nothing like one of those that the shot doesn't get talked about much, but him hopping off the ambulance and climbing back up the cell is one of the most insane things you'll see in professional wrestling.
That's really, really cool. What about your favorite overall pay-per-view card?
Again, like there's so many great ones. Like AEW's done so many great cards, but I think the classic, just because again, part of it fueled by nostalgia and just the card. The pay-per-view I've probably watched the most over and over again is WrestleMania X7. That card from top to bottom is the most like sugar rush, everything is dessert type card.
That's really, really cool. What about your favorite wrestler's entrance theme?
Ooh, like recently, it's been like I quite enjoy Swerve's entrance music. I think Batista's is an all-time classic. I Walk Alone, and it like everyone does like the little pyro spot too when they're watching it. Like my favorite thing is after Kofi Kingston won the title, and they're trying to do media and do pictures, but Xavier Woods had to go out when Batista was doing his final entrance, and he was like singing along to the song as they're trying to drag him back in to do pictures and holding everyone up. And he's like, no, I'm doing the whole entrance with him. And he's just being a nerd, fully doing the full pyro along the side and singing, like singing the song. But again, there's so much, like I have a full playlist of like on Spotify of like different rest, like the Sandman, Enter the Sandman classic. Like there's so many that are just like great songs outside of it. Like against Speedball's independent one, Brass Monkey. So much fun when he comes out. Like there's so many great songs. It's hard to choose.
Really, really cool. What about your favorite tag team, my friend?
I'm gonna go one just because I want more people to know about them, and I still hold out hope that maybe they get signed to a big company one day because they deserve that platform. The legendary now from Quebec Independent Wrestling, Canadian Independent Wrestling, Tabernacle the Team, DDT. They are like, they look like the most Quebec tag team you've ever seen. Literally come out in flannel, cut off, and just such talented wrestlers, and will beat the hell out of you. Like Matthew St. Jacques and Thomas like they are just like two of the best wrestlers, and like they've been going at this for a long time, and legitimately the best unsigned tag team in Canada. Like it is insane to me that they aren't on somebody's TV right now.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And then finally, Laurence, the biggest generic question: who is your favorite overall wrestler? We talked about him a lot today. Please,
yeah. It's definitely going to be Mick Foley, but like again, it's a tie between. I'd also add like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn up there, of just the coming from the independents here, coming from IWS here in Montreal, and being able to do what they do. Like people understand, like when especially if you're an international wrestler, how hard it is to make it on a big stage. Like dealing with the visa process, getting your name out there enough that a company will invest that extra money into you is a lot. Like you have to work, you have to get yourself over 3 times as much as an American counterpart. And it is very hard. And there's so many people all over the world that don't live in the States, that wrestlers that don't make it to that platform. So to make yourself undeniable like that one of the biggest wrestling company in the world would give you a platform to make it there, and not only make it there, but become 2 of the most beloved stars there, is something special, and like something that takes a lot of work and a lot of talent. And like it's something that makes me like very happy when I see every week. And like legitimately like those three will go down as my like 3 favorite wrestlers of all time.
That's really, really cool, my friend. As we wrap this up, Laurence, obviously I want to say thank you for a great conversation. But the question I end the show on is, I believe as YouTubers, podcasters, even just people with social media, we're all sort of going to live forever in a very, very weird way, if you think about the word. What is one piece of content you're like, please remember me for that? Then what is one that you're like, no, you guys can forget about that. I'm good.
So I'm going to reiterate it, although it seems like when the head came off, it was me, but it legally wasn't. And I will deny it to my grave. But I got to work with Speedball Mike Bailey on when he went back to this. I covered it when he was doing it here during the pandemic. It was called Friday Night Speedball, which was like out of necessity. He did like a very comedy wrestling show out of a comic book studio on judo mats, like complying with like COVID constrictions at the times. And when he was able to go back to the States, he did a similar version of that called Fightertainment, which was out of Pilgaroo Brewing Bar in Pennsylvania. And he decided to do a joint show in Ontario with a friend of ours called Ben Ortmans with his promotion Crossbody Pro Wrestling on Easter last year. And like it's very much like a very like there's amazing wrestling talent in there, but it's also very much a comedy wrestling show at the same time. And somebody who, again, when the head came off of the Easter Bunny, looked like me, wasn't me, but getting to work with that whole crew there and doing something incredibly silly and pitching that idea to Speedball Mike Bailey and Ben Ortmans and them being an enthusiastic, yeah, and then not quite knowing what you're going to do the day of and having to referee the main event, potentially, again, not me in a bunny suit. It was somebody else, definitely not me in that bunny suit. Refereeing a main event title match in a bunny suit with one of the best wrestlers in the world. It's just like, where has my life ended up here? Like that was like one of the most fun pieces of content I've gotten to do and got to work with. When I haven't, I'm sure there is like plenty of like incredibly stupid stuff I've done and said, and their episodes, like their interviews, where I'm like I've blown or like there's probably like one interview I did on Brunch Gimmick where like it came like last minute, so I wasn't prepared for it. And like I felt I might have cut it off a little quickly when I was like early on in doing the show. I think there was one or two other people doing with me that week. But like again, like I definitely like for my own mental health, I try not to harp on even though it comes up all the time. But yes, again, like everyone messes up, and like that was definitely one of those where like, man, I wish I had that interview back, because like I don't know if you like felt disrespected by it, but like it was somebody come on to promote a wrestling video game. Why, like I felt if I was a little more prepared for it, I could have done better.
Really, really cool, my friend.
Yeah.
As we wrap this up, Laurence, obviously I want to say thank you for a great conversation. But please promote yourself. Where can the good people find you, your work, etc.?
Yeah, you can follow me on all the socials on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky at Cartier NDG. And you can see me on the Brunch Gimmick every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Love Wrestling YouTube channel, Love Wrestling CA YouTube channel, where we talk about anything and everything that happened that week in wrestling. And sometimes we don't even do that. We just like, just sometimes it's a bunch of friends just gabbing and having a good time.
I've done that show, and it's a very fun show, my friend.
Thank you so much.
If you guys like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish. Follow me on Twitter or X at Tom Talks Rubbish, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye now.
Thanks for watching this Tom Talks Rubbish conversation. Before you go, please make sure you leave a like on the video, share it around, and subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish on YouTube, as well as follow Tom Talks Rubbish on Twitter/X.